Who wants a fun story time about how I became a single mum at 38 weeks pregnant with my second child from the father of my children and partner of 10 years? Okay, it's actually not that fun, but... Hi, I'm Lee. I'm a single mum of a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I've been a single mum for about the last 3.5 years. If you have watched any of my videos that I've made before, you will know that things were not great in my relationship in the lead up to the birth of my second child. They actually hadn't been great off and on since my oldest was born. There's almost 3 years between them. Also, in between their births, it had been COVID. He had had a huge career change. So I kept blaming any sort of unhappiness or unwilling to participate in the life that we had built together as stress from outside factors impacting our life, not actually that the call was coming from inside the house. That was my deep denial, because I didn't want it to be true, because I wanted to live the life that we had built together and actively participated in building together. Last 2 months of that pregnancy, maybe it was 3 months, were really quite hard, dicey for me within our relationship. He was extremely unhappy and taking that out on me daily. Just like adult tantrums, basically, around the house, out and about. It got to the point where I was scared that a traffic light would turn red if he was driving when we were in the car, because God forbid we should have to pause, or, you know, something just as small as that not going the way that he wanted would cause huge repercussions. Side note, nothing physically ever happened to me or my eldest. I could not ignore anymore the fact that he clearly didn't want the life that we had together and wasn't excited. It breaks my heart to admit, wasn't excited about having a second baby. I said to friends, family, his family, I felt like he didn't want this anymore. He doesn't want to be with me. He doesn't want to be around me, let alone be together. I don't know what to do. He's so unhappy. I tried reaching out to his friends, and I tried so hard to become so small and need absolutely nothing from him. Anyway, I had been I did 110% of the parenting of our eldest anyway, even when we were together. And I was putting her to bed one night, heavily pregnant, which was physically very difficult. Putting her to bed, it was probably for about a week before, and I was just crying every night. She didn't know. I was silently sobbing in her bedroom. I used to have to sit next to her bed until she fell asleep. And I would just sit with my back against the radiator and just silently sob. And one night, after I'd been doing this for about 6 nights in a row, we had been at a friend's house for dinner. They have kids similar age to our eldest. All the kids were playing together. It was so nice. Like, oh, this is all what we've got to come. Like, when your kids are finally old enough to start playing together, it's like magical. We had dinner. The kids played. Oh, this is it. Like, this is going to be so great, guys. And he was really like charming, enigmatic, like turned everything up for the evening. Like, it was great. We had a nice time. They live walking distance to me. So we finished the dinner, walking home to put the toddler to bed. And as soon as they will wave goodbye, shut the door, the wall went up. And I thought, I said something like, oh, that was a really nice night. Like, we had such a nice time. And he looked at me like I was a piece of dirt and just went, what? And I was like, oh, okay, we're back to that mood. Like, I obviously don't deserve all the niceness that everybody else just got. Okay, right. So got home. He didn't speak, didn't say a word to me, just like grunted. So got home and I was putting the toddler to bed and sobbing again. And I just thought, how many more nights can I do this? Can I put her to bed whilst I'm this pregnant and this upset and feeling this rejected? And I don't want this for her. Like, a million things going through my mind. But I've talked before how I used to feel about, I was standing on the edge of a cliff all the time. And with every bad thing that happened, I got closer and closer and closer to the edge of the cliff. And so I had to breathe more and more shallow, i.e. make myself smaller and smaller and smaller. Because if I took a deep breath, I would fall off the cliff. And that night, my toes were over the edge of that cliff. And I thought, I'm not going to shout. I'm not going to throw myself over the cliff. I'm just going to try and breathe normally, like anybody else would in any situation. And I came downstairs and I just said, can we have a chat? And he said yes. And I sat down and I said, I've just got this horrible feeling which in fact was based entirely in truth because of how he made me feel, that you don't love me anymore and you don't want this baby and you don't want to be a family anymore. And I was hoping deep down that he would say, of course I do. I'm really sorry. I've been behaving terribly. I'm really struggling mentally at the moment, and it's not about you and it's not about the kids. I want this. I want our life. I need to do better. I'm going to go to therapy. I'm going to sort myself out, but I absolutely still want our life together. That was the last tiny bit of hope that I was clinging on for. But he didn't. He just said, yeah, I don't love you anymore. I don't want any of this. And that was it. That was literally it. 10 years, 2 kids, a mortgage, everything done. That's not to say that we didn't continue to discuss it and have big conversations, because we did for weeks, like huge conversations, and I cried deeply throughout all of them. That was it in terms of it was not up for discussion whether he was going to leave. What we then did discuss for weeks was unpicking of our relationship and me trying to understand where it all went wrong, or what did I do wrong, or what is it that you want that I'm not giving you. But it wasn't in order for us to make it as a family, because I knew that he was done, because he'd been behaving like he was done and treating me like he was done for a while. So it wasn't something that I thought I could convince him out of. And also maybe it's just because I'm stubborn, but if you don't want to be with me, I don't want you here. So I'm not going to ask you. In the not asking, I'm really hoping that you're going to change your mind. But now I know, okay, don't be here then. Like, I could not. I was embarrassed enough. I was so embarrassed and deeply, deeply mortified and ashamed. I wasn't going to say, please, can you give it one more chance? Please, for our daughter, for our baby, please. No. That is just about as much self-respect as I had left. And then he moved out a few weeks after the baby was born. Haven't looked back. Thought it was going to send me into early labour. In fact, it didn't, and I went 8 days over my due date, but that's another story.